Well, I would say that my story begins when I left national school in the west of Ireland, where I grew up, or growing up. And when I was about to leave school, I was wondering where I was going to go to do my secondary education. And then one day I was in the church and paying a visit and saying some prayers, and that God will give me some idea as to the way forward. There was this woman who sat at the end of the bench in the church, and as I was leaving church, she called me over and she said, "You go and see a Salesian priest who is staying in the town." Now, I had never heard of the Salesians. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they did. Anyway, after summing up my courage for about 2 or 3 days, I went along and I met this priest, and he told me something about the Salesians and where they existed in the country, and that he would see me for the rest of his stay in the town. So I served his Mass every morning, very, very early in the morning, and then he left. And then I got a letter from a Salesian house in Limerick in Ireland to make an application to go to the secondary school there, and that is what I did. That was my first contact with the Salesians, and in a sense, I suppose, I have never looked back since. Doing my secondary education in a Salesian school was very, very useful, very, very beneficial. It meant then that I left from there and I was sent to our novitiate, which was in the UK, in Burwash in Sussex, and I went there and did a year's novitiate there. And at the end of that novitiate, I was invited to join the Salesian congregation. To do that, you have to take 3 vows, the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and from there on in, you are part of this vast Salesian family. It was a time when there was challenge, but there was also a lot of joy. And that suited me and my temperament very, very, very much. And so I didn't have too many questions to ask. I did some studies after that, and then I was sent to Malta, where I worked for 7 years in Malta, looking in a school there looking after youngsters who were, in a sense, deprived youngsters in a way. And that was a great Salesian experience because it was a wonderful school and a great community. Coming back from there, I studied philosophy and theology at the Westminster Seminary out in Ware, and after that I was ordained a priest, and then I went to work in Scotland in a Lisby school there that was run by the Salesians. That was a school for youngsters who were, in a sense, out of control at home and at school, and they were sent to this school to try and establish in their lives a period of, should we say, stability. I went from there to helping to run a parish in Edinburgh, and that parish had a huge drug problem, so I got involved very much in the drug scene. And that moved on to working with the AIDS projects there. But again, we set up facilities to help the young people to cope and to help their families to cope. That said, it is very, very, it's a vocation of joy. It's a vocation where, for me, myself, every day is a new day. It's a new time. It's a new way to be with other people. It's a new way to be with your God. And things are all the time changing. So there's never a dull moment. From there, I went to Liverpool, and I was working there in the parish. And from 8 years in Liverpool, I was transferred down to London, and is where I am now. So that's my story in a nutshell, really.